Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be reacting to my predictions of the Champions League round of 16. And if I do say so myself, I think I did pretty good. I got a 6 out of 8, which is, 75%, pretty good. The only two games that I didn't get correctly were the Arsenal PSV game and then the Lille Dortmund game. So I think I got the harder ones correct. It's just I was trying to give a little bit of credit to the other underdogs, but sometimes the favorite just wins, and that's how it is. So the first game, PSV versus Arsenal, it went opposite of what I kind of wanted and thought would happen, because I thought Arsenal was in a bit of a slump, and I thought PSV could have done something with that, but I was sadly very mistaken. Arsenal completely dominated the PSV side, and on aggregate, it finished 9-2. I mean, it wasn't close at all. I was completely wrong on that one, but we'll see how that goes. That doesn't change who I think progresses to the semis between this, because Arsenal now has Real Madrid, and I still think Real Madrid is going to be able to cope with them. But give credit to Arsenal. They, even though they are playing pretty poorly, they completely annihilated this PSV side. No competition, and they're through to the next round. Speaking of Real Madrid, their game against Atletico, very close. Very small margins between the two sides. I did say Real Madrid would go through. They did, but it was a lot more tight than I thought it would be. I thought Real Madrid would be able to clutch it like in regular time, maybe extra time in the second game, but I didn't think it'd go all the way to penalties. There's a lot of controversy with that Julian Alvarez penalty kick. I think it did hit both feet. I mean, he slipped and it caused some issues, but ultimately, I do think Real Madrid was going to be the team that advanced, because there was like that handball on the Atletico side that they didn't give to the Real Madrid team. And I also think there was an incident where Mbappe was tripped up inside the penalty box, which also wasn't given. And then Vinicius missed his penalty. So I think it was all kind of indicating that Real Madrid would proceed going forward. It was a lot tighter, and ultimately it's going to end with some controversy, but I think it's fair that Real Madrid goes through. Some people might not agree. Some people might think that there is some, like some luck, some voodoo, some magic going for this Real Madrid side. And it's understandable, but I think they are correctly going through, if just barely. Next game is PSG versus Liverpool. And a lot of people had Liverpool proceeding. I had faith in this PSG team, and voila, in my opinion, they completely dominated Liverpool over the two games. And that midfield trio that I said in my previous video, that Joao Neves, Vitinha, and Fabian midfield is really good. I can see why Enrique decided to let go of Ugarte, because Ugarte I don't think is as technically adept as these other three. Ugarte is a good midfielder in my opinion. He is good, and he's good at cleaning up, but I don't think that's the type of player that Enrique wanted, and I think it's just working out for them in the long run. That midfield is going to be, it's young, and it's going to have a lot of potential going forward, and they're only going to improve with the amount of time that they stay together. So it's going to be a big hurdle for a lot of these teams to get past, but we'll see how they proceed going forward. Liverpool, on the other hand, like I said, they do win a lot of games, but I'd never see them completely being the best team on the pitch. They manage to see games out, they win, they score the goals, but just in terms of like the visual aspect, I just never saw them being super competent. So what I predicted came into fruition, and let's see how they do in the Premier League. Let's see if this sets them back. I doubt it. They're too far ahead of Arsenal, but you never know. Crazy things can happen. Next game, Aston Villa versus Bruges. And again, predicted this correctly. I said that Club Bruges' luck was going to run out, and it did. They got beat 3-1 first leg, 3-0 second leg. It was kind of like an Arsenal PSV thing where there was really no competition. Bruges did kind of shoot themselves in the foot with the red card in the second game. They needed to come back, and they just made it harder on themselves. So I don't think this Bruges side is particularly good. I think they are the weakest out of the remaining 16, and Aston Villa were lucky to come up against them. So good job to Aston Villa for seeing it through, winning convincingly. But I think the real challenges are going to start happening now, and we're going to see how they do against this PSG side, who I think is probably in the top three favorites at this point based on just the quality that they are playing with. So Aston Villa is in for a tough game next time, and I'm excited to see how that game goes. The next set of games is the Benfica-Barcelona games, and Barcelona made relatively quick work of this Benfica side. The first game, it was a lot tighter because of that Kubarsi red card, but the second game, they kind of showcased why they are the superior team. They played really well. Benfica did good to get a goal, but this Barcelona side just has too much talent to succumb to this Benfica team. I do think that this Barcelona team will struggle once they come up against better opposition, but this Barcelona side is a lot more confident now with the way things have been going. They've been doing pretty good in the league, domestically, and I don't know, they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of youth going forward, and that's very promising for them, but I am curious to see how they do in the next leg. Dortmund might not be the biggest challenge for them. I still think that Dortmund's probably one of the weaker sides proceeding into the final 8, and I did have Lille beating them, which I was incorrect on, but I'm curious to see if maybe they can step up. I do think Barcelona will most likely be able to overcome Dortmund, but we'll see. And speaking of Dortmund, they advanced against Lille. I do think Lille kind of choked the game. I did think that Lille, I don't know, I felt like they were favorites to proceed. And watching the games, they just got kind of overran. There were times when they were just playing hot potato with the ball, just kicking it and kicking it, hoping that it goes inside the net, but it didn't. Lille were lucky to survive that much, and then the goals just started racking in. The penalty was the downfall, and Lille shot themselves in the foot, I think, but Dortmund proceeds. I guess they deserved it more than Lille, and they'll probably give Barcelona a better game than Lille, so I'm excited to see how that game proceeds as well. Next game is the Bayern-Leverkusen games, and I said Bayern would win. I did think that they were going to proceed. I did think it was going to be a little tight, but the way it went, it wasn't what I expected. You know, they completely destroyed this Leverkusen side. They kept 2 clean sheets. Leverkusen didn't really get a sniff of goal, and I did think that Bayern, although not at the strongest that they've ever been, they are still a pretty comfortable side. They are going to win the Bundesliga most likely. Harry Kane is finally going to get his trophy. And if their momentum keeps on building, I think that this Bayern side could potentially make it to the final and maybe even win it. I don't know. The way the games have been playing, the people that I predicted to advance are advancing, but not in a way that I thought they would. I thought they'd be more comfortable, the games would be tighter, and they're just the opposite way. So maybe Bayern is a little bit better than I'm giving them credit for. And I am excited to see how they proceed because they do have a tough game next time. They're going to go up against Inter, and Inter is also displaying some quality. I think the Bayern-Inter game next round is probably going to be the most even out of the remaining teams. I think all the other ones are kind of lucky, and there is a clear favorite in the other 3, but I think this one's more tight, so we'll see how that proceeds going forward. And then in that Inter game, they did well. They did good to keep Feyenoord at bay. They only conceded once. This Inter Milan side is pretty good. It's not as dominant, like I said, as they used to be, but they're still doing quality, and they're still probably one of the best teams in the Serie A, if not the best. So I don't see any concerns from Inter, but they also going to have a bigger opposition in Bayern next round. So it's going to be interesting to see how they proceed going forward with this new adversity that they have. All in all, I think the final 8 teams are pretty good. It's going to be for an interesting end to the tournament. I think there is clear favorites in some of these games, like I said, but I do think that anything can happen. Underdogs are able to win. I predicted a lot of underdogs to win, and they did go through. I predicted some underdogs to do better, but they ultimately just succumb to the better team, and that also happens. It's like just you can't. That's what makes the sport so good. You can't predict what's going to happen, and a lot of different things can happen in this game. An auto goal can set the thing apart. A 2-touch penalty can make you lose a penalty shootout. Different little things like this, just it's fine margins, and you just can't predict those things. You can have a good idea of what's going to happen, but it's not always going to be true. So I'm curious to see how these final 8 games play out. And I guess I'll just say who I think is going to advance. It's still going to be Real Madrid. It's still going to be PSG. It's still going to be Barcelona and a Bayern Inter game. Like in my original prediction, I still think Bayern will proceed. I just think it'll be the toughest game, and I think that one is the most likely to see the underdog or my underdog do something. So that's it for this video. It's gonna be a short one. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.